everyone. I'm just going to take a minute today to tell you how much this year has meant and how much the last 4 years have meant for me to be able to watch you through this high school journey. Was asked by CBC last week to do a commencement speech for all of Canada's class of 2021. They came to me and asked me to do this because of all of you that have inspired me over the last year. And they reached out knowing some of the work that we have done here and how much we care about all of you. So I'm going to take a minute and read you that speech because although I said it to all of Canada, we know here that this speech was written for you and because of you. So here we go. To the class of 2021. There is no better word to describe Canada's class of 2021 than generous. They have shown the country the greatest acts of generosity. In Dr. Brokenleg's book, Reclaiming Youth, he writes from a story shared by Eddie Belro, a Cree elder from Alberta, in a conversation with his grandfather. He poses the question, what is the purpose of life? After a long time, the old man looked up to his grandson and said, children are the purpose of life. We were all once children, and someone cared for us, and now it is our time to care. Class of 2021, this was your time to care. You cared for the vulnerable populations, you cared for the elderly, you cared for your family, but most of all, you cared for each other. Broken Leg tells us that true generosity hurts at times. This year has hurt, but your acts have saved lives. Your class, and only your class, will be forever etched in Canadian history. You have shown that you can not only be the most generous teenagers that this country has ever seen, but you can do this all without a single complaint. You did it because you knew it was the right thing to do. You never stopped asking what you could do to help, and you never stopped being creative about how you could connect with each other. Throughout this year, your voices have made an impact. You spoke up about racism, and at times you stayed quiet as you realized your voice was not the one that needed to be heard. There were times you painted a picture of what the world could be, and at many times erased negative stereotypes through your kindness and your generosity. You looked out for not only your classmates, but you also cared for your teachers and for the staff here at school. You often checked in on how they were doing and asked them how they were feeling. You cared for them, you cared for us, and as a principal, you cared for me. I spent a month in the spring celebrating you as teenagers. I know that at times teenagers can get a bad rap, but I needed everyone, well, at least those that follow me on Twitter, to know that teenagers ruled. I love you for giving up everything to make this country safer. Grads, we have cried together when we could not be at school. We cried when we came back to school because we were so happy to see each other. And today we may also cry a little because we will miss each other. Please know that within these tears, there is happiness and there is sadness, but most of all, it shows hope. It shows that there is no group of teenagers more generous in this country than you. As a country and as all nations, and especially as GCI, we thank you today, and we look back and will continue to thank you for modeling one of the most generous societies we've ever seen.
Greetings, graduating class of 2021. I'd like to start off by acknowledging that I know this is not the graduation ceremony we had hoped for. I know this past year hasn't been easy, but somehow you have found the perseverance and resilience to collectively navigate the ongoing reality of this pandemic. I also want to acknowledge all the parents and guardians, family members and friends who have given strength to our students and have done their best to help them succeed. Kindness and community have played a huge role in our ability to thrive and flourish under these difficult circumstances. As we begin to emerge from the shadow of the pandemic, I'm excited to see how the class of 2021 will navigate the future, how the insights you've learned will influence your future choices and decisions. Living in such unprecedented times gives us the opportunity to pause and discover new ways of looking at ourselves in the world and how we can change for the better. So many of you have proved that you are up to that challenge during the Beyond the Horizon Youth Summit in May. You showed that we can find hope and opportunity, even in crisis. You shared your vision for a better future, and you started a dialogue that will leave a legacy in our learning community for years to come. The one thing I hope you've discovered throughout your time in the Louis-Riel School Division is that learning can and does happen everywhere. It precedes school and will continue long after your final formal interaction with a school. That's the essential beauty of learning. No matter your path, passion, or goals, it is the process to achieving them. Graduation is a unique experience, especially this year. I hope you remember these last few months as being a unique time that brought the best out of you and proved to be the catalyst for positive change, wherever your path may take you. Congratulations, class of 2021.
Greetings, Glenlawn grads of 2021. I'm sure you've heard this once or twice already, but this year has truly been unlike any other. Although this celebration may not be what you expected when thinking about your final year of high school, it remains a celebration of you, your achievements, your hard work, and your resilience. Time and time again, you have risen to the challenges presented by a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic. You have demonstrated an incredible ability to adapt, whether it was quickly transitioning to learning from home, finding creative ways to stay connected with family and friends, or discovering a new hobby or talent amid the lockdowns. As a graduate, you've proven that while learning is important, so is community, caring, and hope. Seeing your acts of kindness and ability to come together to support one another over the past year has been a huge source of pride for me and the rest of the Board of Trustees. Your generation will shape how our new normal will look through your words and actions. As builders of our collective future, I want to thank you for the important journey you are about to embark on and encourage you, especially in these uncertain times, to continue showing that you can and will rise to any challenge that comes your way. I know our 2021 graduates are a group of advocates, leaders, and innovators, and I can't wait to see how you transform our world for the better. Congratulations, class of 2021.
Hello, I'm Marlea Sabo.
And I'm Chad Gillert.
And we are here today to toast to all of you for taking care of all of us. To our parents, foster parents, guardians, grandparents, uncles, and aunts, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. You've been there for us since day one and have stuck with us through it all. It means so much to us. You watched as we walked away from you through the doors into kindergarten wearing our Backyardigans t-shirts. You saw us walk into high school 9 years after that, all grown up. Or at least we thought we were grown up in grade 9 with our brand new laptops. From the never-ending reading journals that you did with us in elementary school to the emotional support required for our high school projects, we thank you. You have given us the skills and independence that we will need. Thanks for running behind us on our bikes until we could do it by ourselves, for teaching us how to drive, and for letting us take your car out for the first time. No matter how many times we fell off or got a speeding ticket, you were always right beside us to help us get back on track.
From sports, events, to band concert, and everything in between, thank you for always cheering us on. It can't have been easy to do, to take time out of your busy day to make sure that when we look into the stands, we would see you sitting there. And even though Mr. Cormier always says that you guys come to watch, not just because Glenlawn is awesome, we know it was for us. We also appreciate the 1,000 or miles of rides you have given us. Thank you to the encouragement and for not letting us quit at something we love whenever it had gone hard, like playing soccer or the trombone. And thank you for understanding when we did quit something and you gave us a space to make our own mistakes sometimes.
Thank you for the support with our academics. We appreciate the time you may have spent helping us with homework, even if we don't want to admit it. For the hours of math homework, which often ended in tears of frustration for the both of us, thank you. Thank you so much for pushing us through all the tough times when it felt like we couldn't have done it by ourselves. Like when we faced our first job interview, when we were getting ready for a big test, and especially when we had our hearts broken for the first time.
This last year and half of high school has definitely been a challenge on its own. No one wanted to end our 13 years of a school in a pandemic, but our support system had made it easier on us, from helping us develop a new routine for being at home. Let's be honest, it was pretty hard to resist watching Netflix and playing video games instead of independent work time. Although we weren't able to see our friends much through the lockdowns and had a pretty strange year, we got through it, so thank you.
Now you get to see us walking across the stage, or as it turns out, the school parking lot, in our cap and gown, getting handed our hard-earned diploma. Without you, we couldn't have done it. We will be forever grateful for everything you've sacrificed and done for us. It means the world. Here's to the class of 2021 and our support systems who made it happen. Congratulations everyone.
Hello, my name is Megan McClymont.
And my name's Sashana McLeod.
And on behalf of the class of 2021, we'd like to thank all the staff and teachers at Glenlawn Collegiate.
We are so excited to be graduating today, so excuse us if we talk a little too fast.
As Mr. Young would say, how many coffees today?
Who knows? It's been such an honor to be benefiting from the Glenlawn staff. By the way, it might be a little bit biased, but the staff here are way better than the staff down the road.
Yeah, definitely. Glenlawn teachers adapted from parent-like figures when we first came in grade 9 into more of a mutual respected relationship as we grew into young adults.
The teachers here at Glenlawn have given us more responsibilities and expectations for the first time in our life.
Although at the time, the many deadlines were tedious and we spared no apologies for our many complaints, we now leave Glenlawn with the foundation of accountability and responsibility. So teachers, please disregard any snarky complaints on deadlines.
Glenlawn staff makes it comfortable for all shapes, genders, and different backgrounds to feel important. I mean, look at me and Megan. Whether it be the ongoing discussions in Mr. Dick's Global Issues class, creating wonderful music beside Mr. Monson, or creating masterpieces beside Mr. Barth.
There was so much diversity that each one of us felt part of our own little family. If our friends and our favorite teachers made up our little family, then Glenlawn was like our home. We may leave our home and grow up, but the foundation for these last 4 years will allow us to move on with confidence.
We would like to note, although we did not get the opportunity to be taught by every teacher here at Glenlawn, we asked many of our graduating classmates for their opinion, and they put out their utmost respect to all the staff here at Glenlawn.
This includes the very important IP classroom teachers, Mr. Conrad and Miss Malloy, the amazing trio of co-op teachers, Mr. Wolnick, Mr. Law, and Mr. Montaigne, and let's not forget Miss Petru, an amazing EAL teacher. The students also mentioned our awesome EA, student teacher, and custodial staff. We would now like to acknowledge some outstanding experience we personally have had at Glenlawn. We can't mention every story we've gathered from our friends, but just know these are examples of how amazing you all are. During the duration of our time at Glenlawn, both me and Sashana played school sports and had the benefit of benefiting from the gym staff. We'd like to thank Mr. Wolf, Miss McKennis, Mr. C, Mr. Harder, and Mr. Holowacek for being much older than us and still kicking us butts in the gym.
I mean, mopping us. But I had the honor of participating in our music program, which was absolutely outstanding with the help of Mr. Monson. He showed us what music can really do and how it can bring a community together. And especially coming in on my favorite day, Sassy Thursday.
I had the honor of taking Mr. Hank's woodworking class for 2 years, and let me tell you, I would take that class over and over again forever. Not only do you get the skills, but you get this really funny teacher who thinks he's so young, talking about jokes along the way. I mean, he's named after a ketchup brand. What would I expect? I also had the honor of taking art class from Mr. Barth and Miss Still, and the added joy of having Mr. Barth as my advocate. I benefited from Miss Still's calm character and Mr. Barth, who could talk to you about anything for hours and generally be interested.
In the realm of science and math teachers, we would like to thank Mr. Story for his compassion, Mr. Khan for his help in Spirit Week. I believe that week was one. Miss Paul for her excitement and willingness to teach physics for the first time. Mr. Young for his passion to help students. And I mean,
let's not forget his addiction for coffee.
And Mr. Bruce for his horrible morning music. I mean, he would blast music, say good morning every day as if being in math class was the ideal morning.
And Mr. Bonkowski for his sacrifice to stay lunches and afternoons to help students. In the English and History department, a special note from Mr. Rigo for his joyfulness, Ms. Cabez for intense love of literature, Mr. Dick for his varied viewpoints on bringing in Slurpees into his class and listening to headphones, Mr. Oliver for his willingness to always be there to support students. Congratulations on your son Owen this year. We're so happy for you, even though you didn't name him Sashana or Megan. It's okay. There's always next time. And Miss Jan, even though she was off on our graduating year, we thank you for your pure heart and enduring personality. There were overwhelming thank yous that went out to Mr. Kornberger for going above and beyond for our entire graduating class. In terms of Miss Deer, Miss Stevensons, and Mr. Davies, we all appreciate the organization, effort, and sacrifice you've made for the students. Miss Deer, thank you for making sure that we still had a Spirit Week even through COVID-19 and always responding to emails. This may seem small, but it meant so much to us. Miss Stevensons, thank you so much for your bubbly personality and always being a smile in the hallways. And we cannot forget Mr. Davies for standing outside in his snow gear in the parking lot all winter long. I mean, talk about frostbite.
We'd also like to thank all the office staff for all the work they do behind the scenes. And we want to give a big shout out to Miss St. Gadir. Happy retirement. Best wishes for you and your next adventure. Lastly, but of course not least, we want to thank all the student service teachers, Priddle, Ross, O'Connor, and Taylor, but especially our grade rep, Miss
Friesen.
I mean, wow, what an amazing support and the ability to prioritize our mental health. We thank you, Ms. Friesen, for always being there to support your students on both good and bad days. You cheered us on when we succeeded and comforted us when we failed. You
are our mediator, mentor, and champion. We thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks to all the staff once again. COVID-19 has been horrible for all the students and just as hard on the staff. We thank you for your love, support, and endurance during this challenging time. We will always attribute our success to you, and we appreciate you guys so much. And hey, we would like to say one final goodbye because remember, the bell doesn't dismiss you.
We do.
We do. So thank you. Peace out from the class of 2021.
21.
Hello. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Carly Friesen, the Student Services Teacher at Glenlawn Collegiate this year. For those of you who do know me, it was decided that I would be the teacher who might just know you best, or at least have the most dirt on you for this speech, this toast to our grads. In an effort to be transparent, I will share that this speech will provide many things. Hopefully some laughter, maybe a little bit of tears, and a strong message about the types of gifts and small tokens that both myself and your teachers feel that you should bring us when you insist on coming to the school for visits in the future. Now, these past years have been some of the best, both personally and professionally for me. Getting to know each of you and to have had the honor to work with some of you, whether it's through your problems or planning for post-secondary, has been wonderful. Over this time, your teachers and myself have watched you grow and develop into young people who are ready to take on the challenges that the future holds. And trust us, we've had a lot of time to observe you. I mean, I guess in other years, we'd probably be the experts. But yeah, definitely trust us. Even with 50% of the observation time, we think, I guess we're mostly just guessing. I mean, we're reasonably sure, you guys, that you're ready for what the world has in store for you. Now, we've watched you shine your brightest on stage and on the court and in front of raging audiences at Spirit Week. We've also watched you arrive late to practices and warm the bench and lose your words. And you know what? I've even seen some of you stumble coming up the stairs. We've listened to you celebrate with really uplifting songs at musical, and we've even heard some incredibly memorable chants from Spirit Week. Yes, the chant, 11, 11. You know, guys, that one will be hard to top. Now, we've sat by your sides when you've sung like birds while ratting on your friends, and we've even listened to you complain sometimes. Now, some of you might be thinking, me? Complain? I don't complain. What's she even talking about? Well, I'm happy to say that I have an excellent memory, and what I may lack in memory, I more than certainly make up for in personal organization and record keeping. Now, the following is a list of complaints that have been shared with me since starting this role here at Glenlawn. One topic that seems to have brought up the most conversation over the years has been assignments. I'm not sure what you guys have against those things, but you seem to have had a beef. And you've had a lot to say about it. For example, this assignment is too long. The questions ask for too many details. Why do I need to write 250 words? What is a reference list? Why do I have to do a title page? Who will even read this? Why would anyone want to read 25 pages of these papers? And why is there a deadline? Why didn't they even tell us when the deadline is? Why do you bother with deadlines? Why can't I hand in my work when it's incomplete? And my personal favorite, I shouldn't have to redo this assignment for more marks. The teacher should just know I can do it and just hand those marks over. I kid you not. And while I joke about your musings over the years, I also have to discuss the times when you didn't complain at all, or at least you didn't complain to me. It's with incredible pride that I share that I have heard absolutely no complaints about the restrictions placed on all of us this year. Many of us have shared moments recently where we talked about how different life is and about the things that we were missing the most. But there were no complaints. A bit of sadness, I guess, over what could have been, but I never heard a word about things being unfair. You know, as teenagers, you're developmentally hardwired to look for fairness and to want it at all costs. But in spite of your biological predispositions, you've demonstrated a maturity beyond my wildest expectations. This year, you set aside your expectations about what the year could have been, and instead you focused on what it was and made the most of it. I'm proud of the people you've been this year and for all the care and consideration you've shown towards each other, and especially with regard to the kindness you've shown myself, and of course your teachers and the whole school staff. Now, even with restrictions firmly in place, you still managed to be teenagers. And what's one thing that teenagers love to do? You guys love to take risks. This word just induces fear inside of me, but for you, it's no big deal. For you, experimenting, taking risks that myself and your other teachers would have not been comfortable with, you guys just had to go out and do it, didn't you? And let me tell you this, your robotics club, your science experiments, performing in front of large audiences, your fashion and hair choices, you guys have tried it all. And when you weren't leaving us clutching our chests in worry, you were busy taking our breaths away with the remarkable tenacity that you show. Over the years, you've shown us that putting yourself out there for the world to see, doing the hard work behind the scenes and working through the nerves, that it can all be worth it. Finally, this grade has a taste for the very best things in life and will strive for those things at pretty much any cost. Whether it's wanting the best jerseys, the best shoes, sports attire, spending money feeding into your obsession with triple espresso mocha frappuccinos or boba tea or sushi, your expensive taste shines through in your online shopping, your extravaganzas that involve the purchase of multiple pairs of tights in all different colors, multicolored shorts that are just right for summer, or dresses and suits for photo shoots in St. Vital Park that may or may not be happening once the restrictions lift. And we get it, you guys. We know how important your Snap followers are to you. You can't show up with these weak fits and tired kicks. You owe them more. And now, when you weren't spending your own money, we watched you reach out your arm generously and ask your parents to join in the spending fun. That's right. You didn't want them to feel left out. We watched you ask for money to go to Banff, cover the cost of your ridiculously expensive licenses and deductibles, your minor scratches and dents, as you call them. We've had you bring along your parents in your manifest shopping journeys involving new nails and new hair and replacement retainers, glasses, gym shoes, and for some of you, you even wanted your parents to get you some new laptops. You did not want to leave them out of this fun, ever. Your hunt for the very best, though, is not limited to your online shopping carts or your trips to Value Village. You've gone out and you've looked for the very best in every facet of your lives, whether you are in search of the best grades, the best post-secondary institutions, the most worthy partners. You know that wanting the best means working towards being your best. Now, the great philosophers have always told us that material goods don't bring contentment, but rather it's our relationships that will keep us happy long term. Though you like the nice things, you've shown us all that the things you will work the hardest for and the things that bring you satisfaction beyond any new pair of Air Force Ones is each other. I've watched you come together. I've watched you get together, break up, and sometimes even make up. And while we've struggled to be together this year, you have most certainly not been apart from one another. Now, we know it's been hard to be apart these months. And that said, some of you got incredibly creative about how to be together. You've downloaded new apps, you've mastered the art of forehead up, mostly just ceiling FaceTime calls. We've seen you meet in parks and in parking lots, and some of you even got part-time jobs alongside of each other, just so that you could stay close. Now, I worked hard with many of you on your resumes, and while some of you have already had more jobs in your short lives than I'll ever have in my entire lifespan, you've made the most of your employment. I've loved working with you to develop a list of job-worthy skills to share with your potential employers. And it should be noted that, you know what, guys, if any of you are looking for some more part-time work, that Earl St. Mattel will pretty much hire anyone who will list the terms hardworking, reliable, able to lift objects heavier than 50 pounds, and proficient at the use of Microsoft PowerPoint on your resume. Go out there and get that job. Isn't that right? So, Ayana, Aka, Radman, Sam, Amika. And some of you have even managed to not just get the job, but also to hold on to them too, which is surprising considering the number of you who've asked to use my office to call your boss to just, I can't come into work today. I'm just not feeling well. You were probably needing that time off to prep for the chemistry test or to put the finishing touches on your final book report. And while I joke, many of you have shown us that you are able to juggle the responsibilities at school while also showing up and being dedicated staff and team members. Now, this attribute bodes well for your future. As our world begins to start anew and your capacity to focus and multitask shine, you will be more essential than ever before. Now, as this happens and your lives begin to take off in the direction of your future, please remember that while you may be able to do it all and be everything to everyone, that you are not quite yourself and not at your best when you're not taking care of yourself. And that means taking pause for the beautiful and joyful moments that are in store for you. As a grade, you have tremendous capacity for love and laughter. These are the things that I cherish most about you as young people. You work hard to feel proud and to make others smile. And there is no job title in your future that will be more important than that of kind and caring individual. Now, offering advice to young people can be hard. You never want to seem out of touch or too cliche, but truthfully, you guys, it would be off my brand to be anything but those two things. So here's my advice to you. Please be kind, work hard, never stop learning, whether it's how to tint the perfect brow or how to split atoms. Be curious about the world. It's waiting for you to discover it. So please go find all that it has to offer and learn from those experiences. As a Glenlawn alumnus myself, it's with excitement that I welcome you to this distinguished group that gets to forever call Glenlawn their home. Please feel proud today, but know that you're part of our pride forever. Congratulations to the graduating class of 2021.
Every once in a while, a student comes along that simply takes your breath away. Nawal Semir is that student. I first met her in my grade 9 class. I was one of her den teachers. In fact, this year's graduating class were the students from the last grade 9 den I taught. I suppose I'd had the best with them, so it was time to move on, just like they are today. As far as teacher dreams go, Nawal fits the bill. The unexpected joy was that she challenged everything she was learning. Often I'd take a breath when her hand would fly up to answer or pose a question in protest, because I knew her comment would command respect from me and her classmates. In grade 9, she volunteered to be one of the team members of our poetry recitation team for the Poetry and Voice Team Regionals. It was our first year competing. We won the event largely because of her performance. Nawal, the youngest performer, was the final competitor for the event. She walked on the stage like she owned it, while her teammates and I sat in the audience holding hands and holding our breath. When she finished, the audience erupted with applause. Nawal had breathed life into that poem. Her teammates turned to me asking, "What was that?" Nawal grinned at the cheering audience, turned, and strode off the stage. That grin made me laugh out loud. She was fierce. I would see that grin many times again. Every September since, Nawal strides into my room and announces exactly what she is going to accomplish this year. I always agree with her because the intention is set, and the only way is forward. 2019, she announced she would compete and win team regionals and make it to the nationals. Done. 2020, she will head the poetry recitation team to the team regionals and win nationals. Done. 2021, she will be valedictorian. Although Nawal has great aspirations for herself, she is ever working toward building her community. The same time she is presenting for the Thin Air Writers Festival, she is volunteering at St. Amant or Windsor School, Golden Links Lodge or Toy Mountain, or working to promote Glenlawn's Black History Month activities. She was one of the editors for Ignite 2 years in a row, as well as mentor for the Writers Guild Poetry Performance team. As a learner, she is dedicated, studious, and ambitious, yet remains humble, generous, and so fun. Nawal plans to attend the University of Manitoba Faculty of Arts. Her goal is to be a human rights lawyer. Nawal is dedicated to giving voice to those who otherwise would not have one. Nawal, I have loved watching you grow into the exceptional person you've become. I'm honored to have been part of your story for this little while. Your empathetic heart and your passion to speak out for justice, equity, and human rights gives me such hope for the future. Nawal, you simply take my breath away. Glenlawn Collegiate, family, and friends, please join me in welcoming Nawal Semir as your 2021 valedictorian.
Greetings, friends, parents, and my fellow graduates. At some point or another, you've probably heard how high school is nothing but a preparation for the real world. Hearing this would always bother me a bit, because it implies that for the last 4 years, we've been living in a fake world of sorts. Now, it is true that high school is a world of its own, but it is as real as any. Within the confines of Glenlawn Collegiate's walls, we created a place like no other. A world where knowledge was the most valuable form of currency, where clubs, sports, and competition were our culture. We triumphed through every win together. We all felt the pain of one another's losses. But most importantly, we grew with each other. Leaving all this behind, it may feel like we're letting a piece of us go, but that's not the case. Today, we take with us every experience, every memory, every lesson learned in this place. As we venture forward in our own individual journeys, we know that we aren't alone. With us are all those who had their start here, and knowing that makes our journey a little less lonely. We will forever be connected to this world that now exists to us only in our memories. This world seemed to be everything when we were living in it. Who we were felt like who we were going to be forever. But looking back on that very first day, walking through the big red doors of this place, we know that's not true. If you told me that I am today who I was then, I would be absolutely mortified. We've changed, and the ones who've pushed us to do so are our teachers. A teacher's job isn't simply to spew facts and assignments at pupils. There's more that it entails. In the classroom, the teacher is the main pillar holding everything together. The teacher is the sculptor, and through the knowledge they provide, they shape the minds of the young. The children may be the future, but they create that future in the present. It truly is impressive how one teacher in a classroom of 30 kids can have an impact on every single one. The teachers in this school are particularly impressive to me. The belief they had in us is what allowed us to begin to believe in ourselves. These teachers taught us to be inquisitive, enthusiastic, angry, and they instilled in us a passion to want to know more about life and its many mysteries. Curiosity may have killed the cat, but it has nothing on the Glenlawn lions, and it's all thanks to them. While our teachers at the school have shaped our minds for the past 4 years, our families have done so for the past 18, along with our hearts. Our parents stuck by us as we went through the many phases of a teen. They watched as we grew from shy to overly confident and guided us back to reality when we got lost in our teenaged egos. Their unwavering love and support for us is what has allowed us to grow into the people we are today and provided us stability in our otherwise hectic lives. No amount of words can ever express the gratitude we have for our parents. For the students graduating today who made it through high school without the support of their parents for whatever reason, you have survived some of the most confusing and hectic years of your life on your own. I know for a fact that I would not have been able to do that. You being here is a testament to your strength and your ability to push through the hardest of situations. If you don't have anyone to tell you this, just know that I am very proud of you and all of your accomplishments. I know for a fact that you have the ability to make it out there in the real world the same way you've been able to make it in this one. The biggest challenge we have been faced with in our high school careers has undoubtedly been this pandemic. We were separated from our friends, our families, and forced to learn in ways that were both unfamiliar and uncomfortable. It has been over a year of this, but despite it, we've managed to make it here. We've managed to graduate, and that is the point. We shouldn't feel bad that our high school experience was messy and unpredictable. Rather, we should be grateful that we were able to have one. You see, in the world outside of our own, in the real world, there are millions of children who don't have access to an education or who simply don't live long enough to complete theirs. It is a world susceptible to gun violence, wars, genocide, racism, and not even children younger than us are sheltered from it. Today, we honor those children. We honor the 215 children found at the site of Kamloops Residential School, along with the many other yet to be found. We honor the 66 children killed in Gaza during the 11 days of violence. We honor the victims of the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School shooting who should have been graduating this year alongside us. And we honor the countless other children still suffering around the world. Through our continued education, we are doing our part in ensuring a better future for children all around the world. These issues may seem too complex or too big to tackle, but know that we have had the gift of knowledge bestowed upon us. It is our responsibility to do as much good with it as we can. We must not abuse our power, but rather use it as a force for change. We have already made such an impact in our own school and on the people we've met here. There is no doubt that we can do the same on a larger scale. Our plans to change the world are only plans for now. But those plans, those dreams, started here. This world filled us with hope and gave us an opportunity to believe in something bigger than ourselves. We will carry that with us outside of the school, and we will try our very best to hold on to that hope, to give life to those dreams. And if we don't succeed with that plan, we know that the memory of that hope or that dream will live on in these halls. And one day, it will inspire someone else who will bring it to life. Today is our last day in this world. Today is the day our world ends. But the end of our world isn't catastrophic or life-threatening. It's beautiful and eye-opening and complete. On our last day in a school that has taught us so much already, we learn one final lesson: how to say goodbye. As we stand on the edge of the world, we look behind and we realize this world has taught us everything it can. This is no longer our place. But ahead of us is a new world, a world far larger than this school and far more complex than any exam we've had to write. Looking over the edge of the world is a scary thing. We can't see the bottom, nor do we know how far the fall is. But that is just one of the many mysteries of the new world, and it's our time to conquer it. Congratulations to the class of 2021. We outie.
It is my pleasure, honor, and privilege to be introducing Teghveer Ateliey today as your valedictorian. Teghveer and I first met in January 2017 when I filled in for his grade 7-8 teacher at Victor Major School. He was in grade 8, so I taught him for 5 months of that school year, and I remember thinking, I wish we had more time together. Even as an awkward 13-year-old, his words, not mine, I knew that he had a really bright shine and he was going places. Teghveer was ambitious, smart, valued education, and very funny. He was the king of one-liners, some that went over the heads of his peers, but any of them that got the joke appreciated it, of course, and I did too. When I'm teaching, I think if we're not having fun, then what are we doing here? And with Teghveer, that was easy because he was just fun to be around. We played Uno, I taught his class to play solitaire, and I would listen in on his lit circle group and think, this kid has all the potential in the world. He checked all the boxes. He was kind, hardworking, respectful, took initiative, did things for the betterment of his peers, and thorough in whatever he did. I realized very quickly that Teghveer had something special. He wasn't checking all those boxes because he wanted someone to notice. It was just part of who he was and who he continues to be today. As a teacher of grade 7-8, it's hard to say goodbye when the transition to high school comes along. And luckily, Teghveer wanted to stay in touch. He continued to email me even as I got a job at Glenwood School. And he wanted to create a PowerPoint presentation and a research project on local restaurants that I could use with my class. I think he wanted to do one on the Green Carrot on Osborne. And that just speaks to who Teghveer is. He always is wanting to do something for somebody else. This year, amid all of his other responsibilities, he managed to run a coding club for a handful of my 7-8s. And even though there was only a few of them, that didn't matter. He still put out super wonderful videos and activities. They were top notch. And after watching one of the videos, one of my 7 said to me, is Teghveer paid to do this? Is he a professional? Because he was just that good. Today, Teghveer joins his older sister and cousin in becoming a graduate of Glenlawn Collegiate. He will be attending McMaster University in Hamilton in the fall as he's accepted an entrance scholarship and a position into a 5-year engineering program. When he told me about this, I said to him, oh, so you're gonna be making mad money by your mid-20s. And he responded very seriously, but with a smile, that's the plan. And I remember thinking now about grade 8 Teghveer, and he asked me about banking and debit cards and credit cards, and now that makes me think that was always the plan for Teghveer. He has also been awarded the Hockey Manitoba Jerry Kruk Memorial Scholarship to put towards his education. I've already told Teghveer that when he makes the leap into politics, I will vote for him, I'll campaign for him, because it's people like Teghveer who make the world a better, kinder, smarter place to be. As I told his dad all those years ago at teacher conferences, I just get a real kick out of your son. And we're just all lucky that Teghveer comes with all the wonderful attributes of a truly great leader. Glenlawn graduates, friends and family, please join me in welcoming the man, the myth, the legend, your valedictorian, Teghveer Ateliey.
If life gives you lemons, make lemonade. I'm sure we've all heard that saying many times, and I bet the last thing you want to do is hear it again on graduation day. If I focus my entire speech on this cliche quote, I would probably be told that I'm no longer a valedictorian. Graduates, regardless of what we do with our lemons, we made it to the end of the long, bumpy road that is high school. On this journey, we learned about ourselves, we made new friends, we grew up, and we made memories. Whoever we were in junior high, and whatever we ended up becoming these last 4 years, we all started from the same place at Glenlawn. Our very first day was filled with many emotions. Glenlawn seemed like a big place, a place that felt easy to get lost inside, a place where I literally thought that I was going to get lost. Our first day was followed with many other firsts. The first tryout for the team, the first test, the first audition, the first failure which we learned from, and the first achievement that we're proud of. Adjusting to high school life wasn't straightforward. Some of us came to school too early on late start Wednesdays, then showed up too late on normal Thursdays. Little did we know that we'd only stay for half the day in grade 12. All these memories were another step in our high school journey. As we grew bigger, Glenlawn became smaller. Although we remember the big moments like today, the smaller ones that have made us who we are deserve to be celebrated too. Today, we can look back and see that high school was never a straight path we all followed, but an open field where we each carved our own paths to graduation. To that, I would like to congratulate us, the class of 2021. Through a global pandemic of all things, we made it out the other side. We weren't on our own in our high school journey. Behind us all are people who guided us, encouraged us, and taught us along the way. People who stood behind us when the world was too much, who pushed us to be the best we can be when we thought we were done, and those who went as far as possible for us for not a lot in return. Many of these lessons came from our teachers, from Mr. Kornberger passionately explaining a critical moment in our history, to creating and donating custom reusable masks in Miss Forrester's class, to trying not to inhale sawdust in Mr. Heinz's class, and many other things from all our great teachers. The fact that the faculty and staff at our school fought through teams crashing and OneNote freezing to set us up for success is nothing short of remarkable. Although we weren't in the classroom as much as we should have been in the past year and a bit, the greatest lessons we've learned are those not listed in the curriculum. Teachings such as patience, respect, persistence, and passion. No matter what numbers you received on your report cards, these are the lessons that will stay with us our whole lives. Everyone in the red brick building has played a role in who we are today. The administration and front office run the show behind the scenes. Thank you for creating a safe place for us to learn and grow. Student Services has always been in our corner, ready for schedule changes, no matter how last minute. Thank you for being there to listen and to guide us. Our advocates were the first high school teachers we met and possibly the last we say goodbye to. Thank you for being a friendly face you can see anytime. The maintenance team and janitorial staff make sure everything in the school is running and clean up any mess we may have made. Thank you for keeping our school clean, functional, and a great place for learning. However, there is no one who has had a greater influence on our lives than our parents and guardians. They are often our first teachers, giving us our first lessons on how to walk and talk, right and wrong. There have been times when we've disagreed and times when we want to be more independent. There have been times when we came to our adults for support, maybe to help with a school project which was left until the last minute, to teach us how to drive, or just to be a shoulder to lean on. Some of our parents came from faraway lands to escape danger, find a better place to raise a family, or both. They not only left behind their former lives, but came to a place where they were not at all guaranteed the luxuries they may or may not have had back home. Regardless of where you're from, or if you're original caregivers, you have taken on a tremendous amount of responsibility and sacrifice, and that cannot be thanked enough. I hope all of us today can look to our families and be thankful that we have each other. To every person who has played a part in who we are today, we thank you. I've heard Glenlawn be compared to many different things. A jungle, an orchard, a second home, and High School Musical. There are no wrong answers, except the last one. We all faced uncertainty when we left our former schools and came to Glenlawn. Leaving a place we've known for a while isn't easy, especially when we don't know what to expect of the future. The uncertainty from grade 9 is coming back to us. As we step out into the world, there will be more uncharted terrain ahead of us. We will experience new firsts, the same way we experienced firsts in our freshman year. The first Nikki Ready Cop tournament, the first explosion of awesomeness, and the first Spirit Week. Through the overwhelming noise and the sea of color, we forgot to give our air band a story, which disqualified us. We amped up the spirit in grade 10. We were planning, coordinating, and we were united as a grade. Even though we didn't win it all that year, we knew our time was coming, and fast. In grade 11, we took no prisoners. Our cheers shook the building, a screaming sea of spirit. You know that if we had a normal Spirit Week this year, we definitely would have won. All these moments and more we shared with each other. As time passed, we found smaller pockets of Glenlawn in which we belonged. We were athletes, writers, gamers, coders, musicians, inventors, and many more things. Our sports teams reached new heights last season, with our boys hockey team reaching the Winnipeg Free Press Division Finals and our varsity basketball teams being possibly the best that Glenlawn's ever seen. We celebrated our Silver Award recipients of the Duke of Edinburgh International Award Program at our school. Our theater students put on some terrific performances in Seussical Musical, and we took to the streets to raise awareness for climate change and the racial injustices happening all over our country. However, all these achievements are from last year. Although we didn't know it at the time, we played our final games wearing a Lions jersey that year. We had our last musical, our last Late Star Wednesday, our last normal Spirit Week. However, even with the restrictions, we found ways to get together as a community. Our robotics team got together to assemble some machines with the time that they had. The book lovers in our school met online for a silent book club every week. Glenlawn's esports teams battled it out against teams across Manitoba, even winning the title for League of Legends. We were even able to create an online coding club for students at Glenwood School to learn about coding. Most of all, we persevered every single day to come to school and learn in a year where everything was uncertain. We deserved a better send-off to high school, a chance to experience all the moments we didn't get to. Despite that, today is not about regretting what could have been, but what our future could hold. Because there's one thing I know for sure. High school is not supposed to be the greatest time of our lives. Yes, we did miss out on a lot, yet it's not what we did in high school that will serve us the most in upcoming years, but what we learned. The teachings that we picked up over the years are what will shape the people that we become tomorrow. Regardless of what lessons you'll be taken away from your time in high school, I hope that there is one that stands out the most. That you all have the capacity to do something great. That your actions can make a difference for others and for the world. They don't have to be big actions either. In fact, they're so simple that they were taught to us in kindergarten. Teachings such as treat others the way you want to be treated urges us to be kind to others and help each other, because we don't know what someone else may be going through, and we might need that help too one day. Lessons like clean up your mess, put things back the way you found them, tells us to take care of our community and environment. The earth and its other species make up our home, and it's our responsibility to protect it. Hold hands and stick together reminds us that injustice affects us all, no matter who or where it is. Recently, the remains of 215 children have been found buried at a former residential school in BC. Countless more children have been victims of the tragic institutions that are residential schools. We must pledge to never forget the past and strive towards a better future. When we remember the importance of all of us holding hands and sticking together, when we pursue the healing and the reconciliation that our shared history requires, when we expand the circle to include all the people who want to live in the space that today we call Canada, then we are stronger together. I've also been told to work hard if I want to be successful. Hard work is a lot more hard when you don't know what you're working towards. Oftentimes, either online or elsewhere, we'll compare ourselves to others. We'll see someone's success, but not what it took to get there. The thing is, success cannot be defined. It's not a ladder that you climb or a path that you follow. Success looks different for all of us. For me, many people are surprised when I tell them that I play hockey. Sometimes it was hard being the only person who looked like I did on the ice. Despite that, I love the game. And that's the only reason I continue to work hard and improve. Eventually, a kid like me made it onto the Glenlawn varsity hockey team. Life gave me a lemon, or in this case, a hockey stick. Hard work doesn't become so hard when you love what you do. Everyone is different. We each have our own gifts, our own talents that we bring to the world. Find your passion, something that excites you to wake up every morning, make that your life's work, and leave behind your path in the field that we call life. Footsteps for generations to follow. Yes, you need hard work, sacrifice, and discipline to be successful, but no factor is more important than passion. Now, I spent a lot of time doodling in my notebook during Mr. Anderson's class, but one thing I definitely remember is the line he always says. If you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Whatever you do when you leave the school for the final time today, love it. Be kind to each other, love the people around you, try to be better every day, and success will follow you. Because life is going to give you a lot of lemons. It's up to you what you do with them. Thank you.
Greetings, Glenlawn Collegiate, families, friends, and loved ones. Thank you for joining us today on this special occasion, the honoring of our graduates in celebration for all they have done and all they are yet to do. I'm incredibly excited and humbled to be with you today to introduce Claire Hill in the giving of her valedictory address. Although I knew who Claire was from her involvement in the school in grades 9 and 10, having taught some of their siblings, shout out to Ben and Jody, I did not yet know how having Claire as a student in my class would end up having such a profound effect on me as a teacher. But first, let me take a moment to explain what I mean by knowing of Claire as a Glenlawn student. In grade 9, she became a student council member, moved on to student council secretary and head of advertising in grade 10, and in grade 11 and 12 was student council president. In grades 9 through 11, a member of Glenlawn's band as a trumpet player and a part of wind ensemble and jazz band. In grade 9 and 10, a member of Ignite as both co-editor and contributing writer. In grade 11, they played JoJo in the cast of Seussical the Musical. Claire was a member of Glenlawn's Ultimate Team, cross-country and track teams, as well as assistant captain of Glenlawn's soccer team in grade 11. In grades 10 through 12, a member of MTYP's Young Company. She did 3 shows, Radium Girls, Peter and the Starcatcher, and the Laramie Project, volunteering at Windsor Community Center's Halloween's Haunted House and spring soccer program for players aged 4 to 9. And on top of all that, Claire managed to win both provincial silver and bronze medals as a marathon runner in the Manitoba Marathons. Now fast forward to my grade 11 Indigenous Studies class, where they immediately stood out to me in 2 ways. First, there was this insatiable appetite and passion for learning. Now I know those just sound like teachery things to say, but in Claire, you could just see that this was someone who was authentically trying to get at the heart of it all. Sometimes Claire would come to class a bit early or stay late and discuss class topics. She expressed feeling awestruck at some of the information and had so many questions about who we are as a community, a province, and a nation. And secondly, it became clear that Claire was not one to simply stop at asking questions. Throughout the remainder of the semester, despite having a busier schedule than I did at times, she worked diligently to find the answers to her wonderments, seeing it as her responsibility in reconciliation to dig deeper, to personalize her learning, and to learn with both mind and heart. In those classes and conversations, I could not help but notice that if this young student was in any way a reflection of what our future holds, then we as a society are in more than capable hands. In the fall, they'll be enrolled at the University of Victoria, where she will take classes in Indigenous Studies, Gender and Sexuality, and Queer Studies, with plans to one day work in Indigenous law. Claire, it is students like you who keep us teachers, year after year, in awe of what young people are capable of, and who in turn have a significant impact on the way we teach and serve our communities. May your life's journey continue to be marked with the very same dedication, passion, reflection, and humility that you have shown us, your Glenlawn family, over these last 4 years. It has been a great pleasure to come to know you as a student and a person, and I'm beyond honored to have the opportunity to introduce you on this most important day. Families, friends of the Glenlawn Collegiate community, please help me in welcoming to your screen, Claire Hill.
Before I start, it's important to remember that the many experiences we've had over the last 4 years has taken place on Treaty 1 territory, the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Innuwak, and Dakota peoples, and homeland of the Métis Nation. Our growth as people has taken place on this land, where it has given us stability and opportunity. 770 St. Mary's Road has been our home for 4 years, and we must demonstrate honor and respect for those whose home it has always been. As we depart, we must contribute our time, effort, and attention to moving towards decolonization and reconciliation through humility and accountability. Everyone has their own personal support circle, and I'm grateful to have had many Glenlawn teachers make it on my list of people. There is so much love within this school. Even if our homework is always late or we don't turn our cameras on, our teachers have always given us strength, wisdom, support, and countless hours of attentive listening to our rants about government money distribution and our ex's latest girlfriend who isn't even like that pretty. Teachers and students can relate more than ever this year. We all had the same problem weighing us down. Many of us struggled through the pandemic, and our teachers were right alongside us. Whether we exercised with the gym staff's at-home workout YouTube channel, or shed a tear watching Miss Friesen's weekly encouragement videos, our teachers were actively supportive, and with our new online world, there is video evidence of it. While we may not have had the ideal grade 12 year or the ideal graduation, our teachers have given us a gift much more personal than the curriculum they teach. Thank you, Glenlawn, for giving us a home where we can be everything we're not, and by a process of experimentation, helping us realize who we are. Before I came to Glenlawn, I sought out advice from my sister, who is 3 years my senior. She told me, on your first day, don't forget your pencil. The first day. Every moment was so big and important, and our hands were too small to hold the excitement and fear that laid so patiently ahead of us. Future, our loudest question. It rang in the back of our minds like an earworm. My most prominent memory took place in D slot, after I found my seat in my first Den class and rolled my eyes at Mr. Suderman promoting his Instagram account. He handed out our first assignment, and as I searched my backpack, a rush of anxiety flooded over me. My nightmare was realized. I forgot my pencil. Well, there goes my chance at success. I thought it was over. I am ashamed to say that I had failed to achieve the only goal that my sister had set for me. I'm sure we all have our share of horror stories. We all have different causes of our teenage angst. And no, not all of them are boy problems. Whether it's bombing on a test, being cyberbullied, facing racism, or forgetting your pencil, we skillfully minimize our troubles to just feeling tired and solve them with nicotine addictions and history class naps. Because, let's be honest, sometimes we are just feeling tired. High school can feel like juggling during a balancing act, and we were tripping over our shoelaces throughout our first year. With backpacks that weighed more than we did and clothes bought not for the fit but to grow into, it was easy to feel small and somewhat lopsided. Throughout all 12 school years, it seems as though we were always yelling. Whether we were protesting at the legislature for climate change or the BLM movement, belting out a melody in choir or musical, or cheering for Glenlawn sports teams and for our grade in Spirit Week. There is so much joy that resides in our voices, and we want to be loud about it. When the pandemic hit, it felt like the first time that our world had gone quiet. Earth slowed to a stop, and we have been exhausting ourselves, desperately trying to push it into revolution again. COVID-19 temporarily silenced us, and in turn, made what comes next a louder question. Some of us emerged the first wave with a creatively shaved head or 5 levels higher in Fortnite. However, we will all be departing Glenlawn accomplished people. Our grade has shown expressiveness, strength, drive, and intellect time and time again. Take Teghveer, who received the Duke of Edinburgh Award in grade 11, or Nawal, who in the same year won first place in the English stream of the Poetry and Voice national finalists. Glenlawn track runner Lamech, who throughout his high school career earned 1 bronze, 3 silver, and 23 gold medals. Zijun will be receiving a medal and certificate of distinction for winning the highest score in Manitoba for the Euclid Math Contest from the University of Waterloo, with a scoring in the top 25% of Canadian competitors. These are just 4 of almost 250 incredible graduates. If I could include everyone's achievements, this speech would be longer than one of Mr. Gilowitz's rants. This is the education that lifts us up, and these are the people that inspire us. 4 years ago, we walked into the school with uncertainty and curiosity balanced on our shoulders. And as we look forward, that same undercurrent of emotions comes back to us. In September, we will not be re-entering the same doors our 14-year-old selves once pushed open. We will not be enveloped by the comfort of familiarity. Instead, we will be opening new doors. This time, there are many more options than the 6 entrances that the Glenlawn building allows us. We no longer will congregate under one roof to blow our vocal cords out screaming, "I believe that we will win!" I will no longer text each other from across the classroom that, "This sub is weird." Uncertainty never seems to be a standalone emotion. It pairs with fear, excitement, panic, curiosity. Whatever our next ventures may be, planned or unplanned, we will always have the connection of the common connection of our high school experience. We all have a piece of each other, and we all have a piece of who we once were. We've witnessed each other through a delicate period in our lives. The thought that many of you have known who I was in grade 9 is uncomfortable now. My wardrobe no longer consists of pink crop tops and skinny jeans, and thank God for that. But don't say goodbye to the 14-year-olds we once were. Take them with you. We still have them to thank for all of the mistakes made. Our past selves are our biggest teachers. Sorry, Glenlawn staff, you're great too. The school walls will always hold the ghost of our younger selves, through the hair caught in those blue plastic chairs, the words we etched into bathroom stalls, And if you go deep enough into the vents, you'll catch the scent of our blue raspberry or watermelon flavored vape. These classrooms are historic, and we've written our lives into them. We leave our mark, and then we leave for good. We move into a new day in our lives the way late night becomes early morning. Gradually, suddenly, and sometimes painfully slow. Regardless, the sunrise is always beautiful. You just have to remember to look at it. The darkness and isolation we've come to know all too well in the past year will soon be greatly contrasted by the light of the next day. Future. It's still our loudest question. Its unpredictability is only highlighted by the pandemic. We have already endured a tough year, and we still found joy through it. We've been able to slow down, look up, and share this delicate moment of time and transition together, in hues of pink and orange. These 4 years will no longer seem like the biggest moments in our lives. We do not know exactly how we will answer that large and looming question mark that lays ahead, but that question mark is not something we have to fear, because we own it. We are it. What comes next is a question that only continues to become louder and louder, and we have shown in the last 12 years that volume is not something we shy away from. Our minds carry potential, and our words will always bear the strength of a lion's roar. Get ready to write history, and don't forget your pencil.